Hello, welcome. My name's Andy. I'm going to have a look at another passage from the book of Matthew. If you've been watching these videos, if you've been following these videos, it's been Matthew. But this is the last one. This is the end of this block of teaching from Matthew. Next week is Advent, where we start the new church year and we change the primary gospel. We move to Mark. So this is the end of Matthew. If you like, this is the climax. This is the end of, this is the thing that sums up all of the teaching that Matthew's been bringing to us over the last few months. Okay, and I've called this video the scariest bit of the Bible because it's one of those passages that really deeply challenging. Okay, so let me talk you through the story. So first of all, it's about Jesus coming as king. It's very rare, actually, for the word king to be used together with Jesus in the Bible. It doesn't happen very often, but this is one of the passages where it does. It says that Jesus is a king, so we need a nice big animal to represent. I don't quite have a lion, but I think this is suitably impressive an animal. So Jesus in this passage is a king, and he's judging between people. He says to some of the people described in this passage as sheep, he puts the sheep on the right, this way around, and the goats he puts on the left. Okay, so he separates out the sheep and the goats. Now, apparently that was something that was quite normal to do. If you're a shepherd in those days, you would let all the animals mingle together in the fields in the daytime, but at night time, goats needed to be taken indoors and kept warm. Sheep were okay out in the field, so you had to separate them out. Okay, so now we've got this king separating out the people, and he kind of judges between them. But what he asks them is fascinating. The sort of things that matter to the king are things that are really surprising. Okay, so what he says is he talks first to the ones on his right, the sheep, who have done well. And he says that you've done well because, let me get this in the right order, he says that when I was hungry, you gave me food to eat. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. When I was a stranger, you invited me in. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was sick, you visited me. And when I was in prison, you came and visited me. And this one says, what? I've never seen you hungry and fed you, or all of those things. And the king says, whenever you did this for the least of the other people, you did it for me. Now that's amazing. The king, Jesus, is saying that he is present in the poor as well. So whenever we do something good for anybody, it's as if we're doing it for God himself. And so this one, the one on the right, because they've been a kind person and helped people and loved people and weren't frightened by people on the margins, people who are in prison or naked, people who are a bit disrespectful, because they helped the people who needed it, God was very pleased. Now, we're at risk of confusing this with too many soft toys. I want to bring in this next to it because we have another way of seeing God here. So we've got Jesus being a king, but we've now also got Jesus being present in the poor. This little teddy, this one, we found this at the St. John's amenity site. You know that bit that I think people call Harrods brilliantly, where you can go and help yourself to things. This little knitted, sorry little thing was there, looking quite dirty. And Susie spotted it and thought, we've got to have that. We've got to give that a home. So she took it home and washed it, and gave it a home. So whenever we do something good for people who need our help, we're doing it for God. So God is present in the poor, which is a an amazingly radical, and it's a mind-blowing concept. So I'm going to have two Jesuses here, because Jesus appears in different guises in this story. He's the king and he's in the poor. Okay, now, I don't like this bit, but the attention then shifts to the ones on the left, and the king criticises these ones for not doing those things, for not feeding the hungry, for not feeding him when he was hungry, for not giving him a drink, for not clothing him when he was naked, for not visiting him when he was sick or in prison. And this one is surprised, saying, I've never seen you hungry. It says, because you didn't do it for the least person, then you haven't done it for me. And I don't quite like this bit of the parable, but then the king takes this one and throws it away into the fire eternal. Okay, so I think the clear message in this is that God cares deeply about people who are marginalised and needy, and whenever we help them, that's as if we're doing it to God himself. Now that is an amazing truth, that God is present in the poor. Okay, now there's a third manifestation of Jesus which I think really helps with this parable. Jesus as the lamb that was slain. Straight after this parable, it talks about Jesus. So just to backtrack, remember I said that this is the climax of Matthew's teaching. This is Jesus' last lesson, if you like. Last bit of teaching to the disciples. And it says that after that, Jesus went off to be crucified. So we have to remember that Jesus is also the lamb who experienced this outer darkness, who experienced all the pain and the sorrow of being marginalised and punished, and didn't just stay there, but rose from the dead and broke the power of hell. Now I think there's a hope in that. Not only are the people who have helped the poor coming out well in this story, I would like to think that the Jesus who went into hell and broke the doors of hell open will liberate the ones who come up badly in this story. I think both the sheep and the goats are saved by the grace of Jesus. Now this is a really good news parable, because it starts off, I should have said, it starts off by saying that the king gathers all people. It's very clear he gathers all people before him. So the sheep and the goats represent everybody. It says all nations. Now some people wonder whether that actually excludes Christians, whether this is just people who weren't Christians, but most people think that it means everybody. So everybody will meet Jesus as king, and they will either be rewarded for serving him, for worshipping him through their acts of service to the poor, or they'll be saved because of Jesus' death. So I think that's a really good news story. That's the end of the teaching of Matthew. As we said, we're going to switch to Mark next time, which is a very, very different feel. But I hope that's been okay. As I said, I've called this the scariest bit in the Bible, but our God is not to be scared of. Our God is a God of grace and mercy. Okay, thank you. I hope that's okay. Hope to see you soon. Bye bye.